Joining us now to discuss his country's economic prospects is Nivard Cabraal, Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Thank you very much, and you for coming in to speak to us. So, as we were saying, a very significant election last month. President Mahinda Rajapaksa was re-elected. The country has also now emerged from civil war, a conflict that spanned 30 years. What are your economic priorities over the next year or so? What are you aiming to do?
We will be concentrating on development. We have been, to some extent, thwarted in our efforts to develop the country as a result of the conflict that was raging. But even during the conflict, we had set the stage for a takeoff in our economy. We have been able to get the inflation down to a single digit. It's in the range of about 3.5% now. And at the same time, as a result of our policies taking effect, the IMF has recently designated our country as a middle-income emerging market status nation. So we have those advantages now. One of the biggest drawbacks that we had, which was the conflict, is now over. So it gives us the space to now continue with our development programs, infrastructure. We are well positioned in the world. As you know, the positioning of Sri Lanka is very critical, and that will give us the advantage to really launch out.
It's interesting because you say that one of the biggest drawbacks to your economic prosperity, the conflict is now over, but the consequences of that are ongoing, aren't they? Because the government spent a huge amount of money on the military because of this war, and now you're pledging to spend $4 billion, almost 10% of GDP, on rebuilding roads and infrastructure, as you say. But where is that money going to come from, given that you've already taken out a $2.6 billion loan from the IMF?
Yeah, actually, we have been doing that. In fact, over the last few years, even during the conflict, we have been able to show that we can do it, because many of the infrastructure development projects started up long before the conflict was over. So the port development, the airport development, the highways, those are ongoing. Now the challenge would be to ensure that the areas that have been under the conflict, which could not be developed as a result of the conflict, are also given attention. And that is happening now. We intend to spend at least $1 billion each year, because that's about what is possible in this context. And that will ensure that the government spend is there. And in the meantime, we are also looking at private-public partnerships. We are looking at the diaspora investment. We are looking at other private sector investment coming in. And I'm sure that will be a good launch.
Under the terms of the IMF loan, your government agreed to reduce the budget deficit from around 9% of GDP to 7% in 2009 and 6% in 2010. Are you on track?
Yes, we are. It has certain flexibilities also provided under the agreement, that in the event that there are certain expenditure or investment which is on a development basis, that it will have a certain facility for us to sometimes exceed that, because it is for a good purpose. And
so are you actually meeting that specific target, or you're saying that there is some leeway there for you?
There is leeway. Like in any program, there are certain adjustments that are possible within a program, and we are conscious of that. But we're also conscious that we need to ensure it's not only just because of the IMF, because that's a proper economic discipline that you have to have.
But the terms of the agreement have stated that you need to cut public spending. If anything, you're talking about spending even more. I think the figure you just quoted at me, $1 billion a year.
Yes. You see, what we have agreed to is a number as far as the overall deficit is concerned. It's not necessarily that it has to be achieved through cut in spending, but it could be by increase in revenue. So there are different ways of handling the same equation, and we are looking at both areas so that we can deliver on the numbers that we have agreed with the IMF. At the same time, we have a priority for development, we have a priority for reconstruction, and that also would be met at the same time.
Mr. Governor, I was in Sri Lanka myself a few months ago, and I met a number of foreigners who are thinking of investing, buying homes, hotels, businesses. But since then, we've seen an election mired in controversy. The opposition leader has been arrested. Are you worried that potential investors will see this as further instability in your country and steer clear?
Not really. I think it's not the opposition leader who has been arrested. It is the
General Sarath
Fonseka who contested the elections. The opposition leader is the main opposition leader from the party, from the United National Party. But I think that's not going to really disturb the overall thrust of our development efforts as well as the investments. And we have seen the mood of the country as well as the mood of investors as being very optimistic. And I don't really see
do you
that...
think some people might be wary of investing in your country, that it might deter some potential foreign investors?
It's very unlikely because we have seen the stock market performing without any disturbance. We have seen the request for information in relation to investment not in any way dwindling. So we are quite clear that it will not be...
Another deterrent to foreign investors, the high cost of doing business in Sri Lanka. Are you doing anything to tackle that?
Absolutely. I think it's something that we need to address. There have been certain instances where we can improve, certainly in a large scale. There is a team of officials who are now attacking that problem, and I'm sure by systematically looking at the different areas in which we have to increase our efficiency, we would be able to get that into some reasonable shape in the very near future, so that it will also be an important aspect of our overall concept of development delivery.
Just very briefly, we've spoken about the consequences of the conflict. Tamils, of course, make up roughly 12% of the population. You've talked about boosting investment in that part of the country. How are you going to improve? Will they reap the economic benefits of that kind of investment?
Absolutely. You know, we are very conscious that for a long period of time, we could not actually deliver economic prosperity to those areas. Now we have the opportunity, and we have launched new programs for delivery of credit. We have launched new programs where they will have new aspects of economic activity. Fisheries is going to boom. The transportation, which was for a long time not possible, is now available because the roads have been opened out. The investment that we will have on road transportation as well as air transportation have increased dramatically. So those will all have a final impact on the prosperity.
Thank you very much indeed. Ajis Nivard Cabraal, Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. We appreciate it.
Thank you.